Welcome to the tier list. Today we're going to be looking at bosses from Terraria. We're using the very nice political boss compass as found on Reddit and made by EEman0201. So let's go and kick it off with the King Slime. Be fair, the King Slime is a pushover. You might not see him before the Eye of Cthulhu, but he is supposed to be the first boss, I think. So he's definitely going into the easy range. However, whether he's enjoyable or not is debatable, as I'd say his ability to teleport literally into you is somewhat annoying, so I'm going to have to put him around here. Next, we have the Eye of Cthulhu himself, and I fought this guy so many times that he's just a necessity. He's not hard, and kind of have fun killing him, but I mean on Master Mode he's somewhat more of an annoyance, so he's kind of probably going to have to go in the middle range, on edging on the enjoyable, but easy, pretty much definitely. The Brain of Cthulhu. Well, the Brain of Cthulhu is the alternate to the Eater of Worlds, and whether it's easier than the Eater of Worlds, I'd have to debate that because they're their own entities. Personally, I always enjoy killing the Brain of Cthulhu, simply because I like ripping through his little cell things that hang around him. And as with most of the other early game bosses, he's not particularly hard either. Although if you're not prepared right, he can kill you off pretty fast, which he's done to me a good few times. The Eater of Worlds, well, in all honesty I haven't actually fought this one as much as you might think, given that my random world generation always gave me Crimson as opposed to Corruption most of the time. But no, I think he's actually really quite fun to fight, just killing off segment by segment, and even if you cut him in half, then you have to deal with multiple of him coming from different directions, which, yeah, no, I find fun. Hard? No, not really. Again, if you're prepared, then he's gonna be a bit of a pushover, but I probably would personally say he's a bit easier than the Reign of Cthulhu, I think. The Queen Bee, well, again, this is supposed to be another early game boss, but I never end up fighting it until like pretty late game because I never wander off to the jungle that early on. I'd imagine that its speed and its ability to dash is quite an annoyance for an early player, but whenever I have to fight her, it's an absolute cakewalk, and it's just an annoyance as opposed to anything harder. So I'd actually go and put him in ridiculously easy and slightly annoying, you know. Skeletron. Now we're getting into the big boys, because Skeletron I see is the first proper boss of Terraria. He's no pushover, but he is quite fun to fight, I think. And again, so long as you're well prepared and you know what to expect, then he can go down pretty easily. It just takes a little bit of time, and he can pull some surprises on you if you're not prepared, even for experienced players. So yeah, I go for pretty enjoyable, but a little bit on the hard side. The Wall of Flesh. Now, the Wall of Flesh is, well, it's a wall of flesh that travels along the underworld and is, well, it's predictable if nothing else, but it tanks like a bitch, and if you're not prepared, then it can really take you out, mainly because of the terrain. So if you put in a nice long platform, then you're pretty much sorted. So I go moderately hard, being that it's like the final boss of easy mode, but enjoyable. I've never really enjoyed fighting the Wall of Flesh. It's something that needs to be done in order to get the Poon Hammer and move on to hard mode, but yeah, no, I find it really quite annoying just having to dodge all the hungry and all the worms it pulls out, and the fact it speeds up with its lasers at the end, it annoys me. Now, Queen Slime. Queen Slime is a more recent addition to Terraria, relatively speaking, and is supposed to be the first boss of hard mode, or at least the easiest boss of hard mode. And yeah, I think that makes sense. It's kind of equivalent to King Slime. However, she does have the surprise of suddenly taking flight in her second phase, which can throw you off. And I haven't killed her too many times because, well, she's new. But I'd say, yeah, she's relatively easy for the point in the game she's at. But yeah, the ability to fly and just, again, pulling out unexpected things like the King Slime is a little bit annoying. The Twins. Now, I debated whether I should look at these as a single boss or two bosses, because they could be bosses unto themselves. But yeah, I'm going to look at them both together because they are pretty much one boss. Definitely hard and definitely annoying. I dread fighting these guys more than I dread fighting Skeletron Prime. I mean, you could take a quote from Avengers Age of Ultron if you wanted. One's fast and one's weird. But to be fair, they're both pretty fast and weird. One breathes weird fire at you and the other one shoots lasers at you. But yeah, no, definitely hard, annoying for me. The Destroyer of Worlds. Well, Destroyer of Worlds is so easy if you know what you're doing. But even if you don't really know what you're doing, if you just go up high enough, if you make a platform just high enough, then he can't get you at all. So long as you've got time in the night, you could just deal with the probes as they come at you, and eventually they'll deplete the probes, and then just keep dropping crap on him. You know, use a shadow knife or something if you have it, and just go to town on that guy. I think he's easy. He just is a little bit lengthy in actually taking him down because he's got a ton of health. So yeah, easy, kind of annoying. Skeletron Prime. Well, I said that I preferred Skeletron Prime over fighting the twins, and well, that's true. It's not to say that he isn't an absolute, himself, because he's kind of like the king of the mechanical bosses, and he is hard. He's got 4 arms, each with a different implement of death on them, and if you get too close to him, he'll produce spikes from his skull, spin around, and completely eviscerate you. But yeah, I don't find him as annoying as the twins, but he's not in any way, shape, or form easy. Planetarium. Now, for the longest time, Planetarium was the hardest boss, in my opinion, and actually stopped me from progressing in Terraria's campaign, if you can call it that, more than once when I first started playing Terraria. I mean, I got to it, and I did different things to try and, I built arenas to try and deal with it. I built a long stretch of arena, like a long tunnel just to lead them along, but every time, the second phase would completely do me in. Admittedly, I looked up some guides, and I eventually managed to break the wall, and yeah, Planetarium it basically didn't even touch me once I knew what I was doing. But still, to this day, I think that Planetarium is hard. I still think it's the hardest boss in the game. Well, at least used to be the hardest boss in the game. I'll get there. But even when it was killing me endlessly, I still kind of enjoyed the fights. It's kind of like just like avoiding all its tentacles and like grabby things. It was cool. It was pretty cool. It was good fun. Now, these next bosses, I guess you could say I've defeated less than all the other bosses, for the simple fact that I got stuck at Planetarium on several of my early playthroughs, but eventually I broke the wall, and yeah, now I have an opinion on the rest of them. But yeah, considering I make the lore on Terraria, I haven't actually gone past Planetarium as much as you'd think. I think I've played through the game a few times completely past Planetarium, but yeah, it's a weird situation. Anyway, Gollum. Gollum is renowned as one of the easiest bosses of the whole of Terraria, and yeah, I can see why that's true, but it doesn't mean it didn't kind of beat me around the head a few times the first time I was doing him in. I think that simply comes from the fact that you're in a confined space, and he jumps around quite a lot. Not to mention the fact that his head pops off and starts shooting lasers at you. The whole confined space thing can be an issue, so I'd say he's pretty annoying, but moderately easy, especially when you know what you're doing. Just get good armor, tank that hits, and eventually you'll go down. Empress of Light, another new addition to the roster of bosses, and probably, in my opinion, the hardest boss in the whole of Terraria. I think that's an opinion that might be shared by a lot of my peers. I mean, the Empress of Light, you could see her as a kind of counterpart to the Moonlord. I mean, he's the Moonlord, she's the Empress of Light. But her range of attacks is so versatile, and she was described as one of the devs as a bullet hell. A beautiful bullet hell, I think it was. And yeah, I hate bullet hells. I can't deal with them. But even though saying that, she's extremely hard. Very hard. But I quite enjoy fighting her. Yeah, it's fun. Just like it's a dance. It's almost like a dance with her. And once you take her down, then that's just a whole reward unto itself. Not to mention if you actually manage to take her down in the day without taking a single hit, because she will absolutely kill you in one hit during the day. But if you do that, you get the Terry Prisma, and that's just fantastic. So yeah. Duke Fishron. Duke Fishron, well, he looks nasty, he looks fierce, absolute pushover in my opinion. He's so easy. I mean, yeah, I end up in space fighting him, but I think it might be because I always try and fight him equipped with the cosmic car keys, and that just means I'm able to keep outpacing him in terms of height and avoid every attack. I mean, if you were just using normal wings, or God forbid no wings, bloody hell, if you was tied to the ground, then you wouldn't stand a chance. But yeah, I seem to be able to, especially with the cosmic car key, you just miss every single attack he throws at you. And even if he does get you a little bit, then you just go higher. And by the time you get to space, he's normally whittled down enough so that you can take him out. And you know, I still have fun with him. I have fun with him in the way that it's quite a late game boss, but I'm still able to completely destroy him. So I just enjoy it that way. Lunatic Cultist is an interesting one. It's not like a big monstrosity or anything. It's just a guy in a mask with magical powers. And yeah, those magical powers can absolutely wipe you out, but even on my first attempt with him, didn't find him too difficult. I think I had to fight him like twice on the first time. Never had to really deal with him too badly ever since. Just kill the right clone and he'll never spawn the Phantasm Dragon and you're fine. But yeah, he's easy, but I still find him quite annoying because he's got such an array of attacks. And if you do, by any chance, happen to kill the wrong clone, then you have to deal with the Phantasm Dragon, which could be a boss by itself, probably. It's a cool design. I love it. I really love the design, but it can be quite annoying. Lunar Pillars. Now, I'm going to put these in all as a single boss, even though they are the independent bosses and have their uniqueness to them. Like, some pillars are technically easier than others, but I found them all to be relatively simple to deal with. I just find them a little bit annoying in that they're time consuming, and I just have to kind of deal with all the baddies. I have to kill 100 of the mobs that spawn from them, and then it takes down the shield, and you can just take it out. It's not too difficult to do. It's just it's kind of time consuming and annoying. That is, so long as you're kitted out correctly. I think by this point I'm normally completely impenetrable because I always go for like tank builds. And finally, the Moonlord himself. Well, considering he's the last greatest boss of the entire game, and he's got that prismatic death ray thing, he's actually quite easy. Honestly, I do cheese him most of the time though. I mean, I've never actually had a stand-up fight with the Moonlord. I've never actually fought him 1-on-1, one-on-one even. I've always built some contraption. That whole minecart thing where you just play roundabouts with him for like 20 minutes and just hit him with the chain gun. Yeah, I normally do that. And he can't touch you. And when he does touch you, you've probably got a regen potion on, so you've recovered any health he takes from you. I've seen tactics where you build a house and his death ray can't get you, but I think in 1.4 they made it so that it can penetrate blocks. So that'll kill you now. But yeah, the playing around the ring around the roses with him really works, and he can't get you. You just have to make sure you're hitting on target, and with going around in circles it can be a little bit tricky, so I'd say it's a little bit annoying. But yeah, Moonlord, naturally not too difficult, quite easy. So that completes our tier list, or compass list, or whatever you want to call this, of the bosses in Terraria. Let me know if you like this new format, and I'll see about maybe doing the mini bosses of Terraria, and even other games like Bloodborne or Dark Souls, or basically any game that has an array of bosses you have to fight. I mean, if you can come up with any other suggestions to kind of expand this format and you like the idea of it, then sure, let me know. So that being said, let me know your opinions on the bosses, whether you agree or disagree with me, whether you like this new format of video. Remember also to like the video, subscribe, check out my Patreon and channel members page, and share the video with anyone you might think will like it. I think that's everything, so just go out there and have a great day.